Today, I want to address punk ass parents. You punk ass parents are the ones who want to be friends with your kids. You don't do stuff that should be under the guise of being a parent, raising them, guiding them, instructing them, disciplining them, teaching them something and making them toe the line so they can become an adult that we can point to with pride as being a contributor to society's greatness, to the betterment of the community, to the enrichment of their family and yours. I mean, that's what we should be striving to raise. But oh no, not you punk ass folks. You are too interested in trying to, make sure that your kids like you. So you don't want to do anything that's going to disturb them. So when it comes to stuff like chores and curfews and talking back and all that stuff, you make excuses, you dodge accountability, you don't hold them their feet to the fire, you try to coddle them at every opportunity. They don't have any discipline. You scared it's going to hurt their feelings. Their self-esteem is in the toilet because you do everything for them. They never have to face any challenges or strive for success because you're so scared little Johnny or little Susie is going to get their feelings hurt and cry about something that you do everything in your power to make sure that they never suffer any kind of failures. What you're doing is raising a generation of self important, because they're really not important to nobody but you in the whole big scheme of life. Self overly indulged, spoiled, what's the word I'm looking for? It's entitled little snots. That's what you raise it. And they go out into society and they try to go into the workforce, and they create an environment where their supervisors and management, their customers, clients, and their coworkers are looking at them all kinds of crazy because they're fucking useless. They're useless and they always are causing drama. And people have to walk around on eggshells because of the way that you raise your kid. Your kid is always so fucking sensitive about everything, and that's what we're seeing a lot of in the young men. Yeah, especially young African American men, but it has spilled over to other ethnicities as well. It's just a generation or two. This generation X and Y group are the worst ones. The baby boomers seem to kind of have this part under control, but everybody after that, they be part of this participation trophy mindset, and they just are the worst. And you parents are the worst, absolutely the worst. So let me give you some examples of the kind of coddling that parents do when they are the punk ass parents versus the parents who take their job seriously. And I have, as I go through, I'm going to give you some examples, some real life situations that I've run into or witnessed, or my friends, did with their kids. So I have some stories to share to you to augment what I'm about to say. Okay, now this part, I see this a lot. The kids, like the parent fixes dinner, right? Ain't nobody got no extra money these days. Everybody's budget is tight. Even people who are making good money aren't making as much as they used to. You know what I mean? So everybody's little waist is drawn in a little bit when it comes to how much they spending. So nobody got money to waste on, food. So here comes just some little clown ass child. Oh, I don't want to eat this. I don't want to eat it. Fix me something else, they might say. Or the parent may volunteer to fix them something else. That's a punk ass move. You don't make, what is this? This is Burger King where you can have it your way? No, this is dinner. Either you eat dinner or you don't. Nobody's gonna tell you have to eat, because that's like child abuse. It's considered child abuse to force somebody to eat. So we're not gonna tell you that you can't eat, but I'm gonna tell you this. This is the only option. So you thinking you're gonna have cookies for dinner, or you gonna rummage in the refrigerator and get corn dogs out the freezer or anything like that? Oh no 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 no! This is what you eat. And see, my ass is so evil. If they don't want to eat, but honey, guess what? That plate gets some foil put around it. It goes in the refrigerator, and at the next meal, I'll pull that bitch out, microwave it, and put it right back in front of them. Cause I'm not wasting my food. I'm not throwing my food in the trash because you decided you didn't want to eat it. Well, you didn't want to eat it then, but I bet your bitch ass is going to eat it now because you're hungry. And if you want not hungry, then just like Bertie Mac says, we just wait until your legs collapse and you fall out on the floor. I could give less than a damn. That's going to be on you. But, no child ever died from missing a meal or even two. So, don't worry about them not eating, and, just don't worry about it. They'll eat when they're hungry. At the end of the story. But don't you dare get in the kitchen and start fixing them something else like they some kind of like grand, in restaurant visitor or something. Fuck all that. Okay, number two. This happens a lot when people have kids that are, like over 18 or whatever. See, my thing is this. Once you start fucking, then you need to start taking some adult responsibility. Like any, if you have a son and he wants to call himself dating and having a girlfriend and having sex and all that stuff, and you still giving him money, you are a punk ass parent. You are funding your son's sex life like he's a pimp. Don't do that. If he decides he wants to date somebody, make sure that little motherfucker understands. That's fine. But you're not getting no money from me. You are going to have to go and get a job to support your relationship with your girlfriend and the gifts that you want to buy your girlfriend and the dates that you want to go on with your girlfriend, because that's what a man does. See, a man don't ask his mama for some money to go take out another bitch. So you guys got to think about this. Nope, nope, nope. Get you a job. I don't give a fuck if you collect cans on the street. You're not getting no money from me. You gonna make that happen because you want to be grown now. That's what grown men do. They work. And so instead, what y'all do though is, you fund their sex life. No. Another thing that you do is, so say you got the same adult person, right? They doing their thing. They don't even live at the house no more. And you get them a cell phone and or you paying their cell phone bill. You do that even though they rarely call you. Or if you do call them, they don't even pick up and they don't return your calls or messages. But you still paying a phone bill. Ha! I wish I would. But that's what the punk ass parents do. You still pay. The bitch ass parents, the ones who like, oh hell no, this how we gonna roll? Let me tell you how this game is gonna go. Verizon, turn off that line. Actually, you don't even have to do that. You can just go online and do it. Turn that shit off. Because, see, if they're not showing you the proper level of respect and concern after you doing them a favor, because that's what that is. Because once they turn 18, anything you do for them after that, it's just because you want to. It's not because you have to. And little motherfuckers need to understand that difference. At 18, you're an adult. Like, if you're in a foster care system, they kick you out on your ass, and they don't care. So, with our kids, we're not going to necessarily do that, but they do need to understand that, at this point, my role as your parent, as your mama, is over. I'm doing stuff for you now just simply because I want to out of the kindness of my heart. And anytime you start taking that shit for granted or trying to take advantage of it and think you using me or something and you not showing the proper level of respect and courtesy, oh hell no. I'm cutting this shit off because you're not using me. I don't give a fuck who you are. You came out of me, oh well. I mean, what you want me to do? That happened so many years ago. Okay, so then kids do this one, right? You see this one a lot. They wait just as good. Now they have money at home usually from their birthdays, right? Their allowances or whatever, their Christmas gifts, graduation gifts, the tooth fairy, whatever. They have some money, So you get out to the store, and you in the car whining, then they start whining. Oh, I want McDonald's. I want, Taco Bell. I want a new toy. I want this. I want that. Something they want you to buy, and spend your money on, and while their money's at home. Okay. Now, the punk ass parent will buy it, even if the kid already has, that particular item at home. For an example, I had a friend whose son, every time they went somewhere, he wanted a ball. Now, the little boy, and I'm serious, had at least 100 balls. I mean, just like balls everywhere. She had like a mesh net thing to hold the balls in a part of the living room. It was just ridiculous because he never could play with all of them. You know what I mean? How many balls does a kid need? Like maybe three, like a football, a basketball, and then like a playground ball. Okay, that's 3 balls. That's all you need. This kid had at least 100 balls because every time they went somewhere, she would buy him another ball just because he wanted it. And instead of saying no. But see, the bitch ass parent, which the good parent, okay, but I'm just kind of keeping them. Okay, we got punk ass and then we got bitch ass. So the bitch ass parents are the ones that you want to be because those are the ones who are going to keep their kids in line and raise up some decent people. Okay, but this is the famous line that we used to always hear. So my mother and father's driving, right? We in the back seat. And we, daddy, we want this, mommy, we want this, can we have that, this and that. My daddy's head would turn around like he was the exorcist, and he be looking at you in the car still moving forward. Do you got some McDonald's money? Do you got some Taco Bell money? And of course, you looking at him saying, no. And then he turned, back to the front and just keep on driving right past McDonald's and right past Taco Bell like he didn't even hear us. Okay, so we learned real quick, if we get ready to go somewhere, you need to go in your piggy bank and, get you a couple of dollars in your pocket so that if he asked you that question, then you can say, yes, yes, I got your daddy, I have my money. And then he would pull in. But don't be a bitch ass parent. Don't do that to your kids. They know what they're doing, and it's a manipulative trick. Stop falling for it. Stop spoiling them. Okay, then we have this one. This one happens a lot. Oh my God, I just want to just like bitch slap these little kids. You see a kid out with the parent, right? It's usually the mother that they do this shit to because they know the daddies tend to give them a look or grab them, and then they shit straightens up pretty quick. So they always do this to the mothers. They want to hit her, they want to bite at her, they want to kick her, or they threaten to do one of those things to her. If she doesn't give them what they want because they're mad. And what happens, you can see the fear like in these women's faces. And it's like, you kind of wonder, are they in an abusive relationship or have they been in one before? And they're having, they've been traumatized and having flashbacks or something. I don't really know how to take it, but the look on their face is always one of fear. It's not one of embarrassment, and it's not one of, wait till I get your little nigga ass home, I'm going to kill you. Okay, it's not that kind of face, it's fear. But the bitch ass parent will be like, will grab that kid and like lift them up or get in their face so tight and be like, you know what? You put your hands on me. You wanna act, I will beat your ass down like you a nigga on the street. See, to me, once a kid crosses that line, we are no longer related. And I'm gonna treat you just like what any other motherfucker that came on and tried to threaten me or, do some kind of physical harm to me. I'ma beat your ass, and it's going to be put some hospitalization required, and it's not going to be me. Okay, so that, I think most kids, like, you gotta, I think this is one of the problems is, these new waves of parents, y'all want to be all friendly, you want your kids to like you and stuff. And see, my thing is this: as a parent, your child has to have a healthy fear of you. I'm not saying they have to tremor and piss their pants when you come close to them. What I'm saying is when your child is faced with a decision and they're getting enticed or they decide thinking about doing something that they know they shouldn't be doing, you want to have your kid's mind so wrapped up in what you're going to do to them if they get caught doing that they won't do it. So that you got to get that bluff in early, though. You got to get it in, start getting that in when they're like 2, because otherwise, they get 4 or 5. It's too late. You start that training early. So y'all starting with stuff that you're thinking like, oh, it's just a baby. He's so cute. She's so this. She's so that. You need to start putting the snatch on those little motherfuckers. You're telling them what's what. And you with little kids. I don't advocate whacking on little kids because they're tiny. Their little bones are fragile, and people, especially men, don't know their own strength. So I do not advocate you smacking little kids. Them, you can put them on a timeout. You take away their favorite toy. You do whatever you need to do. Stick them in the high chair, make them sit there for 20 minutes. I mean, that's like an eternity to a baby. And that you can get them under control in different ways. But you got like a mouthy 10 to 12-year-old, please, I would be busting that kid upside the head with something nearest blunt object and don't give a fuck. When people talking about, that's child abuse. Like, you want me to hit you too? Line up. If that's not gonna be child abuse, I'll beat your ass too. I could give less to the damn. And nobody will tell me how to raise my daughter. You know what I mean? It's like, because if some shit happens and like, she does a crime or something, the first thing out of people's mouths is gonna be, well, what kind of mother did she have? The mother's this. They always blame the mama. So I made sure that wasn't gonna be the case here, and I stayed on her ass. I stayed on her ass like she was a horse, and I was a saddle. So, that's how you got to do these days. There's too many different elements trying to get a control of your kid's mind. You have to have control of your kid's mind. And the shit starts early, and a good dose of fear of what'll happen if they do some shit that you told them not to do must be in place. You got to have that. And so your kid is going to sit there and think, ooh, I really want to do this. I really want to hang with my friends and cut school. But see, then eyes are going to shift to the other side. They're going to think, they're gonna start having this cartoon running in their mind, this picture, the little movie of what their life and what their body's gonna look like after you get finished beating the shit out of them and torturing them and hanging them up from the nearest tree by their toes. And so, they're going to think twice about say, maybe not. Now, y'all going to have fun. I'm going to go to class because my mother, if I, whoever is going to kill me if I do what y'all get ready to do. So I'm not getting ready to do that. So that's my thought on that. So let's continue with this list. Okay, so you tell your kid to do something, right? You tell your kid to run an errand. You tell your kid to do some chore, whatever. You tell your kid to do something that you need them to do, and they don't do it. They just basically ignore what you were talking about. They keep on sitting on the couch like you haven't said nothing. They staying in the bed. They not getting up. Whatever. The garbage still there. Whatever. They didn't do what you asked them to do. So here you go, the punk ass parents. Oh please, oh come on, I'll buy you this. We can go here. I'll take you there. So they trying to beg and negotiate and wheedle and bribe the kid into doing what they want them to do with material goods or treats of some sort. Whereas the bitch ass parent will be like, oh, you call yourself trying me now, huh? You grown. Let me tell you something. I'm going to count to 5 and your ass better be the fuck up doing what I told you to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And see how quick they be moving. If not, then that's when you start reaching for shit. Start reaching for shit. Throwing shit at them or, snatching them up. And say, you trying to be grown, get the fuck out. Just get out. You're not going to do what I told you to do. That means you grown. Get the fuck out of my house. And, I don't have a problem saying that. So... especially, like I said, when people get grown, the teenagers especially, they think they know every goddamn thing. So, I had to tell my daughter that a couple of times. It's like, oh, no. Nope. Not having that. Not here. Okay, so then we have these other kids, they're like over 18, over 21. They ain't in school. They don't have no job. They hanging around playing video games all day, just chilling with their friends, drinking beer, smoking weed, whatever they doing. So you don't want to say anything because you want to still maintain this relationship. You don't want the kid to be mad at you. You want to be friends with your kid. And a lot of you parents will use this justification here. Well, at least they're at home and I know where they are. They're safe and they're not out in the streets. Okay, bitch ass, that's some punk ass shit there. The bitch ass parents will be like, oh, is that what's going on? Okay, well, let's see. They get a calendar, right? And it's like, okay, you have 30 days from today. You're going to have a job and you're going to have a paycheck and you're going to start covering your household expenses. You're going to buy your own food and you're going to pay your own cell phone bill and you're going to contribute to the overhead of the cost of the household, the light bill and the water bill and the garbage bill. You're going to pay a portion. So I mean, even if it's like 20%, they still need to pay something. And if you're not in place by that 30 days, you need to be packing your shit and getting the fuck up out of here. Because this behavior that you got right here going on right here, we're not having that. Not in this household. And they need to know that. They need to hear that. And kids need parameters and guidelines and a firm hand. And this really shouldn't be waiting until they're 21, or 18, 19, 21. This should have happened again, like I'm telling you, at 2 or 3. You've got to get your kids' minds in check early so that they raise them up. You don't have these kind of problems out of them. But if you're too indulgent, they're going to think that that's how it's supposed to be, and also going to go out into the world thinking everybody else is supposed to treat them like that. And see, then they hit hard up reality, and then they end up in this MGTOW shit and the true force loneliness shit because they're all fucked up. You didn't teach them nothing. All right. So then let's look at another one. Your kid starts failing in school, or cuts school altogether. You punk ass parents just throw up your hands and act all helpless. Like, well, I just can't do a thing with him. I can't make her do it. And you basically kind of ignore it. I mean, you may talk to him or something, but in general, if the kid says, oh, I'll do better, well, that's good enough for you because you didn't really want to be bothered anyway. You didn't want to deal with the conflict. You just want to have your parenting life be as simple as possible and as unchallenging as it can be. Whereas the bitch ass parent is going to be like, oh, wait a minute. Going to school is your fucking job. I go to work every day and go through a commute to make sure that you have all these necessities of life. Your job is to go to school and get good grades. And you telling me that you've gonna fuck that up? Oh, well, let me tell you how this gonna go. So depending upon the age of your child, you can beat their ass. That's some people's, thing. You can do some severe punishment where you take away every single thing that's a distraction from them studying. That was what I did. I put all my, I mean, she didn't have nothing in her room but her desk, her dictionary, her little computer. I took all the games off of it. I took all her little beanie babies and all that shit she used to like to play with. Everything. That room was stripped the fuck bare. I put everything in the storage, and I got her a tutor, because I want to make sure that she, had the tools that she needed to be successful. I made her start doing her homework at the dining room table while I was cooking so I could watch her. And if she had questions, she could ask me. And then I would email her teacher every week until, the next report period, which was about 6 weeks. It did, she turned in all her homework. Was how was she acting in class? And then I would, I had, since I work freelance, I had the opportunity to, I mean, my schedule is my own. So I pop in, up to school any time of day. They never knew when I was coming. My ass would just show up. I pop into the classroom, see what she said. She never knew when I was coming, right? So it was always she had to be on her P's and Q's because she never knew when I was going to show up. So anyway, we had to go through that for about 6 weeks until the next grade report came out, and then I slowly started giving her stuff back. But I let her know we're not going down this path. This is not going to happen. Your job is to go to school, and your job is to get good grades. It's not like you're stupid. I know you got the intelligence to make it happen, and this is what I expect from you, nothing less. And I was very firm. Okay, so then let's talk about these kids that want to get mouthy. They want to talk back, right? They want to yell at the parent. They want to, do all that neck working kind of shit and working their fingers and doing all this other stuff. The punk ass parent will cry. They just give up in defeat. They just act like, there's nothing that they can do to make a change. Um, the other kind of parent who's more likely to, the kid starts mouthing off, it's like, you better shut up, stop talking. And they keep it up, they likely to get busted in the mouth. I mean, not to the point where it's considered child abuse, but one of my cousins used to tell her kids it was funny. It would shut the kids up, but what she would say is funny. She would like look at them with this deadpan expression and say, "Do you want me to child abuse you?" So, it was funny. Everybody would laugh, but they got the message and they would shut the hell up. But that's how that goes. We don't do the talk back thing. That's just not cool. Um, then there's some parents that the kids will tell the parent what the parent can and can't do, where they can and cannot go, what they can and cannot wear. What? When you buy something or pay some bills, how does that happen? Where does that work at? So you punk ass parents, you start laughing that off. And you do what the kid wants. You will actually get on the phone and tell people, "Oh, I can't go because little Johnny doesn't want me to go. Little Susie said I can't go. Hee hee hee." Like that's funny. But you would like as a parent, you're supposed to look at your kid and say, "You know what, little bitch ass kid, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do, and you don't like it. That's too damn bad." And if you really don't like it, I will put you out and you can sleep outside. I'll take your phone. I'll take the computer. I'll take all the food and everything else that I bought. Because I bought it. Because I'm the one, this is my house. You live in here because I like you to, but I'll put your ass outside. You be living off the land like a goddamn pilgrim. So, you gotta sometimes just talk crazy to them and see, just kind of mess up their mind a little bit. But they get the message, and it's like you pipe down and remember your place here. You the kid, I'm the parent. Okay, now what about these parents? You got these kids, and you got to ask them to do the same shit 3, 4, 5 times. Come to dinner. Come to dinner. Come out of your room. It's time for dinner. This and that. You bring them the same thing. Pick your clothes up off the floor. Pick your clothes up off the 4, 5, 6 times. Usually the punk ass parents will, they'll just break down and just do it themselves. They'll just, you know, they can't stand it. They don't want to ask anymore. And that's what the kid is hoping for. These are the kids that grow up and become, husbands that do the same thing to their wives because they learn the trick they learn and it works and they don't have to do any work. As long as they hold out long enough, they know you'll do it yourself. But the parents who are not the punk ass parents, like the bitch ass parents, will you will have some severe penalties for that behavior. Let me tell you about what happened to one of my friends in high school. His mama was no joke. I mean, after I saw this, this woman. Okay, let me do. Okay, we had a graduation party. It was when we graduated from high school. They had this really big house and the whole downstairs. This kid was like, he was like a DJ for high school kids, and he had this big dance room downstairs in a finished basement. So everybody was down there. We dancing and having a good old time. And his mother actually made us gumbo, right? I mean, two gigantic pots of gumbo. So we were grubbing like 9,000. But there's like shrimp shells left and crab shells and the rice and juice that people don't eat. I mean, the chicken bones and I mean everything. That's some smelly garbage. So anyway, everything's thrown away and we all, left and everything. And James's mother had asked him to take the trash, gumbo trash to the can outside so it wouldn't be stinking up the house. So he's like, okay, mama, yeah, yeah, yeah. He kept saying he was going to do it. So we at school, no, I guess anyway, yeah, we had to go to school. We had a couple of days left to do, turn in books or whatever and all that kind of stuff. So that next Monday, we're at school and James comes and tells us what happened. So he didn't take the trash out, right? The gumbo was stinking in the kitchen. And he had gone to bed. He said it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. His mother was going off, and the next thing he knew, she had dumped that whole garbage can full of them shells and crab juice and all that juice and chicken wrappers and I mean just the nasty had dumped it on his head in his bed. So not only did he have to take out the trash, he had to wash all his laundry, take a shower, scrub his mattress, scrub the floor, take the mattresses off the frame and scrub the frame because the juice went all down everywhere. He was up the rest of the night cleaning. And of course said he wished he had just taken out the trash. Now see, that is how you do your kids. So then that anytime she asked him to do something after that, that motherfucker was Johnny on the spot. He was like, okay, then it was done because he remembered that very, very valuable lesson. She didn't tell him. She showed him that she meant business, and that's what you got to do. Stop trying to be, worry about your kids' feelings and worry about your own. On another one, the kid starts pouting, right? They don't want to do whatever X, Y, Z. So here go the parent. Oh, please, this begging and all this stuff. And one of my friends, that's how I got the idea for this video. Shout out to K-Bob. And because her son was talking about, she picked him up from school and he's talking about he didn't want to ride in the car with her. And, he was gonna take the bus or walk home or whatever he said, Anyway, he was going to try to get there without the benefit of this car ride. So she's like pulled over to the side. Okay, get out. And so he's thinking, she gonna beg him to get back in the car and all this stuff. She drove off and left his ass there. And then she said he was chasing after the car like it was on a TV commercial, chasing after the car, screaming, "Mama! Mama!" So she was like, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. But see, that showed his little ass. So then by the time she stopped and let him catch up to the car, he gets in and she didn't have no more problem out of him. You see what I mean? Sometimes you got to think like that. Then people be like, oh, well, it's mean, and it was cold. Because they on the East Coast. This was cold and, I wouldn't want my precious angel to be out in the cold. Motherfucker wasn't going to die in that little 5 or 10 minutes being out. So he had a coat. You know what I mean? Come on now. Stop being just thinking your kids are just so bitch ass. You let them suffer a little bit. They'll be all right. Then we see these kids, right? They be running wild in the store, right? Or running around in a restaurant or running around in an office, doctor's office. Anyway, doing something inappropriate that they shouldn't be doing. And when you got the punk ass parents, right, they just gonna sit there and act like they don't see it and they don't hear it. It's like, they're oblivious to the fact that their kid is disturbing everybody else in the whole room, making everybody sick with their brat screaming and making all that noise. And, they just sit there. Well, I'll tell you what I did. It's a Chinese restaurant in Oakland called Little Shin Shin. I used to love to go to that restaurant. I don't really live that area anymore, so I haven't really had a chance to go there. But this particular evening, I have really looked forward to it. And it's a quiet restaurant in the evening usually. But here come some of them hipsters, them old gray-headed people that had kids at 42. and they sitting up there looking like somebody's grandparents with these little toddlers, right? A whole table full of them. You know, the big round, like buffet, Chinese restaurant, big tables. They sitting there with all these kids, and then the kids, after they eat, get up and want to start running around the restaurant. Well, that restaurant is not cheap. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these little kids and I'm like, look at these bitch ass parents. They're not even saying anything. So I lean over to one of the little kids that ran by me. I said, stop running in the damn restaurant. Go over there and sit your little ass down somewhere. So then here comes the parent. Oh, I don't want you to talk to my kids like that. Fine, I'll talk to you like that. Get your motherfucking kid and sit them down somewhere. You're disturbing a whole restaurant full of people. Don't feel hear their goddamn. See, then I just went off. Say, if she just said, oh my God, I'm sorry they disturbed you, something like that. But instead, she gonna try to get in my face, telling me that it's like it's okay for her kid to disturb and fuck up my meal. Bitch, let me tell you about yourself. So I went off on her like there was no tomorrow. So they got all their shit and left. And then when they was leaving, the whole restaurant started clapping. So it was like, but it's like nobody was gonna say anything until I did. It's like, bitch, you fucking up my dinner. So the restaurant gave me my food for free. But I'm like, pfft. And then, I haven't been back because I was mad. I had an attitude. So, yeah, that's the thing, so be prepared. If you're one of them little punk ass parents and you got badass kids running around, be prepared for somebody who's a bitch ass parent like me to check your kid and check you too for being a punk ass parent. Because, you fucking up my good time and making me waste my money while you over there acting like you don't see your kid acting like a fucking hellion terrorist. Pfft, please. Okay, now what about these kids who think that they gonna tell you what they think and what they want, like your house is a democracy? Okay, now you punk ass parents rather, you listen to them like like your kids are equal in intelligence, intellect, education, life experience, and maturity to you. That's what you do. You just make them feel like they all important and stuff. They're not. They're children. They are supposed to be protected by you. That's why you're the decision maker. You're the one that's supposed to be making decisions in their best interest. That's what being a parent is about. You don't let kids make decisions for themselves. That puts them in harm's way. They're not mentally and emotionally prepared for that. So, stop being a punk ass. Step up. Take care of your kids. And, if you got one that's a little older, like, 11 and 12-year-olds, they do this bad. But then that's when you got to sit them down and say, let me explain this to you, how this works. See this paycheck right here? Whose name is on that? And then they look at it, of course, they going to say yours. It's like, right. So, see, this is what pays for all of this shit up in here. So that means that the one who's going to run shit up in here is me, because this is my shit. When you start paying these bills, then it will be your shit. But until then, you going to do what I say, the way I say it. And if you don't like that, any day you don't like that, there's the door, hit it. Just remember that, because this is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. And everything up in here is something that I have to control for your safety as well as mine, for my peace of mind as well as yours, for the the goodness of this house and everyone in it. Those are the decisions that I'm making, and you need to go along with them. Until you decide you don't want to, then you get out. That's just the way it is. But see, you sit there and let your kids tell you what to do. No. The worst are parents whose kids do something criminal. Okay, then you punk ass parents, you want to cover for the kids. You want to make excuses. You want to blame other people, for what they did, instead of blaming your child for being a hoodlum. And one of the most interesting things I saw was a story a couple of weeks ago about this boy. He went into a restaurant that he used to work at, some kind of fast food place down in North Carolina. Oh, it was a Pizza Hut. He went in there. Now they knew who he was, right? Because he used to work there. So why you gonna go rob a place where everybody knows your face and then you don't even have stupid. Okay. So he goes in there, and but one of the employees was carrying legally a gun, and so dude was robbing them and trying to beat on employees and stuff, and dude shot him. It was three of them, and he shot. This one kid got shot in the head and he died, right? So he was robbing the restaurant and, pummeling on the employees, and this one dude had a gun and just happened to shoot him. Okay, self-defense. Let me tell you what his mother and father said, because this is a two-parent home now. This is what they said. It was an act of desperation, but I do not believe that Michael would have hurt anyone. Why did he have a gun and why did he come with three people then? Why in the hell did this guy have a gun? Said the father about the employee. Okay. See what I mean? Nowhere near she's saying, my son, I'm just disappointed in him. He shouldn't have been doing that. I don't know what's wrong with him. Nowhere was those kind of statements made. Instead, she's trying to make excuses and the fact that her son is dead, blaming on the employee that was defending himself as well as his other coworkers from an attack by these three hooligans. Okay, see, punk ass parent, both of them, the father and the mother, punk asses. Whereas if you are a bitch ass parent and you see your kid doing some criminal shit like that and you know you did not raise them that way and somebody else is either going to be hurt or was hurt by your child, see, if you hurt somebody, especially if you kill somebody, I'm calling 911 on you. I'm going to do that because you need to be off the street. You're an embarrassment to my family and you are a risk to the community. And I didn't raise that. I don't know who you are. So I'm going to treat you like I don't know who you are and your ass is going to jail. And when you get there, don't call me. Don't ask me for shit. I'm not bailing you out. I'm not getting you a lawyer, nothing. You on your own. Because just like you was on your own when you did that crime, you on your own after. I don't have shit to do with it. It wasn't me. I didn't have nothing to do with it. So you handle it. You made that decision on your own. You deal with all repercussions of that choice on your own. That's how I do it. And but sometimes though, if like especially if it's a first offender and the kid is young, you can negotiate if they did some property damage. You can negotiate, and they'll get probation or whatever, and then they'll have to pay restitution. Now, initially, you might want to pay it, but I would suggest that you work out a deal where the child has a job and the child has to pay it. Don't pay it for them, or maybe pay half, if they're 14 or something. You know what I mean? But you have to do something where they feel accountable and responsible for what they did, and the money is something they have to earn to pay back themselves. You've got to do that. You can't just keep covering for them because then they won't have any repercussions and won't feel the heat from the decisions that they made. That's going to make for a really messed up child. And one of the last things that I could think of anyway, kids they'll ask you to do something for them that they're plenty old enough to do themselves, or they'll expect you to do it. Now, you punk ass parents, you gonna do it. You gonna be trying to take care of them. These are the women that go in, they have sons living at home, or they go to their son's house to clean up his house, and the motherfucker's 40. You know what I mean? If he wants somebody to clean up his house, he should have a girlfriend, a wife, or a maid service. His mother shouldn't be coming over cleaning up after him like he's 5. What the fuck is that? So that's one thing. But the main thing is when you have a kid, you have to let them do things for themselves as early as possible. As I said to somebody the other day, you got a 2-year-old. They're old enough to pull toys and shit out of drawers and out of boxes and put them all over the floor. Those little motherfuckers with their diaper on and with their little toddler shoes can go walk around and pick that shit up and put it back. Make them do that and start teaching them to be responsible. You doing everything for them all the time, you're not teaching them valuable life lessons. Your kids must learn life lessons. They must learn how to get along with other people. They must learn that there are repercussions for certain behaviors and decisions. Just don't be a punk ass parent. Just don't. It's not a good look for you or for your children. It's okay to say no to your kids. It's okay to yell at them. It's okay to put boundaries and restrictions on them. No is a good thing to say to children. No and stop. More parents need to learn those and become comfortable with those 2 words. So many of them just don't seem to want to say that. It's like they don't want to limit their children's choices or something. I don't know what kind of mentality that is, but I see it a lot. So in the next video, which I will probably do tomorrow, I'm going to do part 2 of this, and I'm going to give you parents some ideas of life skills that you need to start teaching your children. Because, looking at what we got here as with allegedly mature adults without the skill sets that they should have, a lot of it is due to, for the young men, not really having a father figure, someone to mentor them and show them the ropes of manhood. I got that. I understand it. But who you get to do that, play that role, that is on you, ladies. It could be a stepfather, it could be your old brother, it could be a cousin, it could be somebody from Boys Club of America, Boys and Girls Club, Boy Scout leader. I mean, coach, whatever. There could be somebody with a positive mindset that could help mentor your son. But what I'm going to talk about is some of the issues that you as a parent need to make sure that your child has by a certain age. I think a lot of people don't think about this kind of stuff, and possibly they don't think about it because they don't know these things themselves. But either way, we're going to try to get you all on the right track. And, this thing here, this laziness and, the dumbassness and the punk assness and just letting your kids clown and be clowns and stuff all through the community and out through your house, that shit has to end. We cannot have that. All right, I'll do my part to make sure that you stay cognizant of what you need to be doing. So we want to have a better crop of children the next couple of years here. All right. Deb Cooper from survivingdating.com. You can find my books on amazon.com. I think there's 4 or 5 of them there now. And or visit my blog, survivingdating.com, askheartbeat.com. Talk to you guys later. Bye bye.